Hello, welcome to Traveling Young.
Hi.
And today we're going to talk to you about a road trip that we took. So
Yes.
we drove to Sønderborg not long ago. And whenever we take trips like that, we like to stop and visit some places on the way.
Yes.
The first place was slightly out of the way, but we went to Jelling, and that's the first place we went.
Yes. And we stopped off at this great brewery called Trolden.
It's just outside of Jelling.
Yes. Yeah.
And Jelling.
Jelling.
If I say it every way, then one of them is right.
He tries.
And then I want to
probably
show the drive across what I refer to as the Nightmare Bridge, which terrifies me. I'm going to give you some notes on where I'm frightened. But anyway, stay tuned. That's all on this Friday's episode of Traveling Young. We're the Youngs.
We've spent our lives traveling the world.
And in 2018, we moved from
Chicago, Illinois to
Copenhagen, Denmark
Now we want to share with you
how our new lives abroad
is keeping us young.
keeping us young.
are helping to keep us young. Welcome back to Traveling Young, and I got a new lens and stuff. And as you can see, you can see even more,
all
and you can
kinds
see
of
the
toys.
cool rafters
beams.
up there, and you can see more of this stuff, and you can see more brisket in between us. So welcome to
The new experience.
the new experience with
right.
the Traveling Young. So
I'm a terrible enabler.
yeah.
with equipment. I'm like, yes, we need that.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, it's pretty common as Americans to take road trips.
Yeah.
And we like to maximize every opportunity. So when we do that, we stop and visit places and do things along the way. And this is slightly out of sequence in terms of order of what we actually did. But we're going to start with the stop in Jelling,
Yes.
which was just so cool. We just
man.
said, let's go and let's stop there. And we walked into the museum, and the curator immediately recognized us from YouTube,
Yeah.
and immediately was willing to spend time. This was not planned, but he spent a lot of time showing us the stones.
Yeah, and explaining the stones. And I had read up a little bit about the stones. We had watched some videos about them, so we knew a little bit about them, but he really just told us everything about them. And it was so awesome and fascinating to hear about.
Yeah, and I'm actually, I will link in the description a really cool video from this guy, Tom Scott, about the Jelling stones and
Yeah.
Herald Bluetooth. I will not try to say the history of Herald Bluetooth
No.
and where that came from.
It's
so
too
if you
long.
don't know, watch. Well, it's also, he does a better job
Yeah.
than I would ever do. Click and watch it because it's really interesting. And for those that aren't Danish, one of the stones was from Herald Bluetooth,
Yes.
who is the namesake of the
Bluetooth
technology that we see, and the initials are the Bluetooth logo. I will say no more. Click and watch Tom Scott's video. But let's go ahead and jump to Jelling because it was such a cool, beautiful day and a really cool experience. So let's show you that.
On this side of the museum, we also have a modern runestone. A runestone that was made for the museum to show how the runestone could be painted in the Viking Age. Vikings, they loved colors, and we have a great example of it here. And actually, when many people come to Jelling, they think this is the original runestone, but it's not. It's actually a modern one. We made it for the museum, made by a modern-day Viking. He's called Eric, and we call him Eric the Red. And it is an awesome stone, but not the original one. If you like to see the original ones, you should go to the other side of our museum, over on the cemetery where the church is. Just next to the church, we have the original ones.
Weeks ago, we went to the geological birthplace of Denmark, but now we are standing in front of the birthplace of Denmark really as a country. So tell us some about this runestone here, because this is Herald Bluetooth's runestone, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
It is erected by Herald Bluetooth around the year 965, and it marks the transition from the old pagan belief in the Norse god into Christianity. And it is an amazing runestone. It's actually my favorite stone in all the world. I love this stone. It's so amazing and so unique because it tells a story of the great king, Herald Bluetooth, and how he won Denmark all and Norway and made the Danes Christian.
Yeah.
So for Danes, it's a very important symbol because it marks the transition into Christianity.
Yeah.
And we actually have it on the first page of our passport, if I may
Yeah,
show
you
you.
were showing us, yes.
There is the Christ figure that you actually see on the runestone
Yeah.
here in Jelling. It's on the first page of our passport. So when we travel abroad, actually the first thing we show is the runestone here from Jelling.
Yeah, and this is really the first depiction of Christ that we really know of in Denmark, correct?
Yeah, in Denmark. We believe so. There might be another one I don't know
Yeah.
of, but we believe this is one of the earliest one we see here in our country.
Yeah.
So,
And you told me something interesting about the runes that are here. On Gorm's runestone, the runes are vertical.
Yes.
But here they're horizontal.
Yes.
And so tell me the significance of that, or what you think the significance might be.
I think it's quite important because Herald Bluetooth actually changes the tradition on how runestones are made. Normally they have two written sides and the runes are written in the vertical lines, but Herald Bluetooth makes three sides and the runes are written in horizontal lines.
Yeah.
The reason we believe that he changes the tradition in the way the runes are written is because he's trying to copy the modern language of the time, the Christian Latin that has just arrived in our parts of Scandinavia around the year 965.
That's amazing.
And another interesting fact is this stone is actually standing in the place where Herald Bluetooth put it up over 1,000 years ago.
So it's been here this place
Yes.
since he put it up.
Yes,
That's
in
amazing.
the year 965.
Wow.
And we know this for sure because actually beneath the runestone it is propped up with the help of some wood and stones. And we can date that back to around 965.
That's impressive because I can barely sit still for like 5 minutes. Yeah. So,
So this part of the stone actually depicts a lion wrapped around a snake. So tell me some about, I don't know that much other than that. Explain some about this.
Yes, well, it's very controversial, this part of the runestone, because we don't actually know for sure what the animals are telling us. What is the meaning of this picture? But I can tell you that I believe, and in my opinion, that it's actually the lion is the Lion of Mark.
Okay.
A Christian symbol.
Yeah.
And around this Christian symbol, there's a snake wrapped around the lion. And this snake could actually be the world serpent, the great serpent from the Norse mythology that lies all around the earth and bites its own tail. And when it stops biting its own tail, the world will come to an end. Ragnarok will come. And if that's true, you actually have the old religion and the new religion depicted in the same picture.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, so maybe it's just kind of a symbolization of the two coming together.
Yes, the
Yeah.
new meeting the old and mixing, but again, that is my interpretation. I don't know for sure if it's correct, and I must underline that I can't say
I'm
for sure.
going to go with it though, because I like that
But
explanation.
it is a great story, and perhaps it could even mean that if you came here and visit Herald Bluetooth and saw his runestone, you wouldn't even have to read the runes. You could just look at the pictures, and you would still understand what the king wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
That he made the Danes Christian.
Oh, it's amazing.
And inside our great modern exhibition here in Jelling, we tell the story of Herald Bluetooth, home of the Viking kings, and the story of the Christianization of Denmark.
These are different weapons, and when you touch one, it tells what kind of damage it does and how long or if it will make you die. So let's find out. This is spear to a vital organ. You die in 10 minutes from blood loss.
how about this guy?
Let's see. 2 hours blood loss, I think. Chopped off body part. We're gonna see what happens when you die in battle. So they've got the different steps of death to Valhalla. So if I start here I am.
Now you're dying in battle.
Dying, oh
I'm here. My arm's getting.
no. Now I'm in funeral pyre, getting burned up. Now I'm in the Bifrost Bridge. Oh my. And now I'm entering Valhalla. Oh, too far.
How's it feel?
I feel very strong and warrior-like.
Yeah.
Yes.
You with all your Viking brethren back there behind you?
They're quite scary and intimidating.
So if you have the time, you are most welcome to come to Jelling at any time, and we will welcome you here.
All right, so I would go back. I didn't expect to actually spend as much time there, but I would definitely go back and do more.
And the museum was so much fun.
Oh, so interactive and stuff.
Yet another really good. What's happening right now? I don't know what's happening.
He's excited about this new lens.
Very excited. But another great, really well done Danish museum.
And everybody was so nice that worked there, that talked to us. And somebody that worked there helped us pick out a future Tried on Tuesday.
Yes.
Which, coming up. I can't tell you when, but it's going to happen from the gift shop at the museum.
It's dangerously good. It's
super good.
Yeah.
But so a long time ago, one of the early subscribers reached out to me I think it was like February.
Yeah.
And said he'd watched the video that we had from Cooling, and he said, hey, if you're ever back here again, you let me know, because I work at a brewery and it's pretty obvious that we occasionally have beer. Yeah. And so...
and whiskey.
Yeah, and whiskey. And so we reached out to him because we were going to drive through, and he was kind enough to take some time and show us around the brewery and talk about the process. And the brewery is...
the Trolden Brewery, and it's really fascinating because they not only brew beer, but they also make gin and whiskey. And so I didn't know that much about the gin process, so I was actually quite interested to find out from him how they make the gin, and it was really interesting to find out.
Yeah, and Brisket really enjoyed it too.
Oh, Brisket.
So let's go ahead and show you that. It was a really nice place, and a really good place to stop if you're out in that area.
Very hygge.
Yeah, it was a really cool, fairly new building and everything. So anyway, let's jump to the brewery on our nice little road trip.
Yep.
Come to the Trolden Brewery and Distillery. This is our new place.
But you make beer, you make whiskey, rum, gin.
Yes.
And in all different flavors. Like it seems like it's not, I know Jack Daniels maybe has a couple different flavors, but it seems like you guys have quite a few different flavors.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as we started in 2011, and the first whiskey have to be in a barrel for 3 years at least before you can call it whiskey. And then we got a call from Jim Murray, which is the whiskey guru #1 in the world, and he wanted to taste the whiskey.
Oh wow!
And we sent him a bottle, and we got 94 points out of 100 for
Oh, that's
our
amazing!
First. Yes,
Good for you.
Yes, we couldn't. Get our hands down. 8 days later, our first gin got 5 stars out of 5 in London.
Oh, wow.
That day he spent cake for all the persons.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yes. So,
I'm sure it was a big celebration, as you should.
we produce about 100,000 liters a year, which covers our beer brew and our spirits. Wow. And it starts here with our mash. Then we pump our liquid over here. Yeah. And then we put hops in and let it cook for 1 hour, 20 minutes and let it cool down. Being finished those 2 procedures, it will be pumped over here, and every tank here contains 700 liters of beer. So after about 10 days, we will then pump it to this machine, which is...
Oh, that's the important part, the bottler.
When we start at 9 o'clock in the morning with 700 liters, and as we do half-liter bottles, it's about 1,400 bottles. Then we are finished at midday.
Oh my gosh, you're fast!
Yes. Finish fermentation.
Yep.
For approximately 35 days. And some have to taste it. Yeah, I know. Somebody have to to wear that cross. We do that.
It's a hard job.
It's a hard job, but somebody has to.
Do everything by hand.
Yes.
You don't use computers.
No,
you don't
no,
use
no,
fancy,
no.
stuff. It's all the old way of doing it.
Yes, by hand.
Yeah.
We're talking gin now.
Yeah.
400 liters, and we have a start APV alcohol percent about 7%.
Okay, so pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we distill it, and it then reduces from the 400 liter to 200 liters. It all is distilled here, and we have alcohol of 28%.
Yeah.
The first 2-3 liters we start with, it's really
Oh, I'm sure it's like
dangerous.
really,
Yes.
strong.
yeah, and no, it's quite dangerous because it's with fennel, with
Oh yeah,
all,
it's
all
strong.
those,
Make you go blind.
Yeah.
and then we start the process one time again. Then we have about 60 liters left.
Wow.
We use what we call the infusion box. All the botanicals, and the main botanical for gin is
Juniper berries?
yes, right. 2013 cask, 64 liters. Cask strength, my guess, 67, 68. You fellows try to taste it now, and then we put a little bit of water into it. So,
I'll take a quick taste. Well, I haven't even tasted it, but I can smell.
and remember it's cask strength.
Wow. Goodness.
Be all right.
Yeah, I mean, it just touched my lips. Goodness. Wow.
A little bit of water changed everything.
It's still pretty intense, but it's not as
Alcoholic.
yeah, the first thing was just like you could feel it. It's like I breathed it in before I even drank it.
Yeah.
And I was starting to breathe the alcohol before I even tasted it. It's quite intense. So, wow. All right. So,
Return to your favorite thing in the whole world.
so we went and came back. So I had to drive across this bridge twice.
And I offer to drive over the bridge, but I think the only thing scarier than the bridge for Josh is my driving.
Yeah, they're
So-
they're paralleled and frightening experiences for me to go through. And so I the past few times I've wanted to put my GoPro in the windshield, but the weather's been bad. But
Yeah,
this day
it's
was
been
actually like a decent
Yeah.
looking day. So we put the GoPro on and drove across the bridge, and I'm going to give you a couple quick notes. You know, so the beginning of this process, it doesn't seem so bad when you first start, because when you first start, the first portion of the bridge is
Yeah,
like
it's pretty flat.
fairly close, but this is an example of the wind that's basically insane. You can tell by these wind socks that are all in there. It's like, it's so windy there.
Yeah.
This is the part that's actually really close to the water. The
And-
first half isn't that high. But here, I'm going to speed this up a little bit, and you'll notice 1,
And this
2, 3 cars go by me.
Because he's white knuckling it.
I'm grandma driving as slow as I possibly can. But yeah, this isn't as bad because it's close. But this is the part where that train accident was that time, just to the left, where some people died because it was so windy.
Yeah. And remember when we were coming over the first time, there was that guy that had the camper that was like blowing in the wind.
This right here is the bridge, the big part of the bridge you can start to see in the distance. So this is where my nerves are really starting to settle in, that I know it's coming. But yeah, when we were going the other direction, there was this camper that kept, like you could see him move in the wind, especially when he passes the pylons. But this is where that first flatter part of the bridge ends, and there's this little island. And this is where it all changes. But what's happening here is I'm starting to see these like construction things. I'm like, oh man, is this going to be like one lane the whole way across? Thankfully, as you can see, it wasn't. By the way, that was me right there doing a nice little NASCAR move. I'm like, I'm going to pass a car because it was a truck going so slow. And this is where I start to get super freaked out.
Yeah, because you go up, I mean, it goes from like 0 to 60 because you go from pretty low to like really high very quickly.
And we're like above the wind turbines and stuff at this point. And this is the part that I don't understand. I'm slowing it down because these people that we're about to see are assembling one of those like window washing platforms that I guess they're going to take up the pylon.
Well, I mean, they have to at some point.
That is insane. That thing is going to have, it's got to be just like, must be like bouncing all over the place up in the sky. I looked at that and I'm like, no way. That is absolutely insane.
Well, maybe it's just like a fun ride for them.
We got past that. We're rocking and rolling. This is where the halfway point right there.
Yeah.
And then here we go. You get past the last pylon, and when you drive past the pylon, you feel the wind like shift the car. But that's it. We're at the end now. I feel like I'm home free. We're heading downhill
going
again.
Down.
I can see land. I'm a fan of land. And this is when I start to feel like, all right, I survived it this time. I can like speed up a little.
Did it.
Not as many cars need to keep, well, there's still a car passing me. And I start to see the toll signs. Typically, I don't like tolls, but hey, that means we're there and bam.
We survived.
I got through it. And this is...
It does amaze me though, because sometimes we see those huge, huge ships just going under and there's all kinds of room above them. So you know that bridge is super tall.
It's and I go through a range of emotions.
Well, you start like 10 minutes before we even get there because you know it's coming.
I know. So
and
like,
he gets himself all worked up.
You can't tell in that direction, but going across the Fune, you can usually see it a good few minutes before you even get to it. You can see the pylons because it's closer to the Fune, closer to the Zealand side. Yeah. Where, so you can see that part of the bridge and you know it's coming. And it just freaks me. And I'm just like, don't talk to me. I turn the music down. I just like, I need to concentrate.
I try to calm him down. He's like, just leave me alone.
You're not helping. Be quiet.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had to capture at least one of those drives. Yeah. I've probably done it like 15 times now. I don't know.
And you're still not used to it.
No, this was probably the best.
You did good this time.
I felt better. Maybe because I knew I was kind of performing.
Yeah.
On camera. Maybe that's what it was.
We'll just record ourselves every time we go over now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've got a quick Friday fact because it's Friday and it's Friday Facts, which is the new thing. This is the third installment of Friday Facts. We're sticking with the anniversary theme a bit, and we're going to show this right here, which is a tiny little bottle of sand, which you may or may not see sometimes in the background of our videos. This is from our honeymoon.
Yeah.
So on our honeymoon, we went to Egypt. Yep. In 2000.
We were crazy.
And here's a picture of us.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can
move it off to this side a little bit where that's where the focus should be. Yeah. And that was us near the Great Pyramids. And what I decided to do is I got big bottles of water that were empty and I filled them up with sand. And then when we came home, we bought a bunch of these little jars and we filled them all up with sand. So we got a little funnel and filled them up with sand. And then we gave them as gifts to everybody that came to our wedding. Yeah. So all the people that attended our wedding got one of these and we kept one for ourselves.
It's kind of a thank you.
Every so often I'm at somebody's house or family and I see the little thing of sand. But we wanted to bring back some of our honeymoon with us for them because they supported us and everything. Yeah. And it wasn't that expensive to do. It was more just time consuming. And so we have one in the background from our honeymoon from 2000 when we went to Egypt. And that's today's Friday Fact, which is really what spurred our love for travel when we realized we could survive.
And that was
a 23-year-old and a 21-year-old.
Yeah, and we did that without a lot of internet because internet wasn't really a thing back then. It was a lot of like emailing and stuff, but I mean there was no online booking anything.
Yeah. I had to call some places and arrange it all. But anyway, that's where it all began. Yeah. and where this jar, if you ever see it in the background of sand, came from, and this picture, which is sometimes in the background as well. All right, well, there you go. Friday Fact from our honeymoon in 2000. That is it. Thank you so much. We're going to say goodbye for now and stay tuned because next Friday is when we'll have the full Sønderborg video where we go visit the battlefield, we visit the castle, we go to Helleslu briefly, we go to an island, and I mean we had a nice weekend, so we're going to show all of that next Friday.
Weather was mostly nice.
Yeah, it was, it did its best.
One day.
All right. Thank you so much. As always, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.